How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. This may be my last interview ever while I get canceled off the internet for
Mhm.
having, you know, suggested themes. But anyway, we have Neon Empty with us tonight, and he can say what he does and all that jazz.
I'm Neon Empty. I guess I am a Neon Empty and Neon Empty both. I'm Neon Empty and I'm a rapper-ish from Calgary, Alberta in Canada, and I grew up being a metalcore post-hardcore kid, and now I make rap because then I don't have to have a band to organize, practice around, but I can still spaz on stage and write my own beats.
Hey, there
I'm
you go.
empty. Yeah.
There we go. Well, I've had my good friend here, Neon Empty, on in a previous life, so you can go look for that. I'm not gonna tell you where to find it, but you can.
Yeah, where's
You,
Waldo?
it's just go searching, start digging. The
Dude, was
shovels.
that interview a goddamn hour and 45 minutes, if I recall?
It was a
Did that
long
eat up
one.
your entire hosting plan for a month, just that one interview?
No,
I,
I
I remember
have.
being like, I'm having so much fun. Has a Disney movie passed? And then being like, yeah, yeah.
Actually, there's a Disney movie made about this channel, so now since
Shrek.
Pixar picked it up, it's great. So, um,
Shrek is DreamWorks. I was
straight.
wrong. Sorry, everyone. Fuck. Fucking embarrassing. I shouldn't have got why. I thought Shrek was a Disney movie. Come
It's all
on.
right. It's all right. It's all right. Listen, I gotta give props to Neon MT for listen, the aesthetic on point. First hot tub interview. I don't think I've ever done one of these. So kudos.
Yeah. Number one HTI, as we say
Yeah.
in the biz, it's quick HTI. It's not a hot tub. Like I guess it's actually a very really bad bathtub. No, I'm not even proud of this
It's
bathtub.
like a C, like
Very shallow.
D tier. Yeah.
D list bathtub. The DLBI.
Well, let's try to get him at least a C tier bathtub next time.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Done. All right. I'll start taking any and all questions now. Fire away.
So, the first question is obviously, like I had mentioned previously, I've known you from a former life. But how did kind of Neon Empty start out? And when did you start creating music? Because I kind of have a broader sense of the idea, but when were you like, man, you know what? Let me start Neon Empty. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I mean, I picked up guitar at 14, did my first like metal band album at 19, and then kind of like five more, like heavier albums, just
Mm-hmm.
like indie stuff in bands that nobody would have heard of. I just always really liked making music, and I am cursed that I can't stop, but I'm also
I feel.
not hardworking or talented enough to get famous. So I'm just in that really cool middle ground of like compulsive creator slash lazy. Um, and I don't have a team around me to fix any of those problems. So I've been doing music in some form or another for a long time, and I've made a lot of it that I really love, and I've made like a lot of friends. Neon Empty was like that creative bug inside me because my favorite thing in the world is being on stage. Like I love playing shows. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am that's the dragon that I'm chasing in my entire life. Like frail, cruel women and stage time. If you have either of those, I'm in. Let's talk. And so like I love stage time. I love playing shows and I like spazzing out. Like I lose my fucking mind on stage. And so I wanted to do a solo project because I did get really tired of, and everybody in a band ever knows what it's like to be like the guy carrying the band, pushing it forward. Like I'm
Sure.
always the one with the most ambition
Feel.
in the
Yeah.
band. I'm always one that's like, let's get shows, let's make an album. And it can be really draining on the people around me. Like I know how I am. So I was like, next thing needs to be solo. I don't want to just play acoustic because like how hard can Ed Sheeran go? Like I think Ed Sheeran goes the hardest of all the folk pop guys, but like that's the limit, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So doing Neon Empty, like I can rap on stage, I can write like big intense beats, like I can even write some guitars into parts, and like it just gives me a venue to just go nuts on stage and write words because like writing words is the thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was only ever a singer because that meant I got to write the words for sure. No one could argue
Sure.
with me.
Yeah.
And they're like attention, I guess. And so Neon Empty's been about like 3 years since I released something, like 2.5 years, and then sort of over the last year, I took a step back after releasing like 4 or 5 singles and I had started to like learn to write my own beats and like learn the principles of
Mhm.
everything, trying to kind of just do that like Kanye on his first couple albums thing, like before he went Kanye. Um, but yeah, just being able to like take everything I knew about writing heavy music, and I spent the last kind of year like in the dungeon, like learning to write beats so I can do every part of my own songs with like a producer's tweets. So I would say I've been taking it more seriously for like the last year and a half. Yeah, is
Yeah, and
that my answer?
I feel like, I feel like you've been in the dojo, you've been doing stuff. I've been keeping up with it because, we've been friends for a little bit now, and I always try to do my best as an interviewer to keep up with what everybody's doing. And, I've been really enjoying it. And I
You're
think,
such a good dude. How I just feel like I feel bad that I'm on your show. Like I should be on a show with someone who's more selfish. Like I just feel like call the burden again. Like the burden is nice. Call them. Like they're not
oh,
the
they're coming
worst
back on
people.
again.
Oh, as they
100%.
obviously should be.
Yes.
Um yeah, oh I was so passive aggressive with them today. So, oh my god. I was so mad at them. Gave
I,
them a one word
they're,
reply to something.
oh, man, you are
They're in the
really,
doghouse.
yeah, they really are in the doghouse now. We're expecting some beef now. That's honestly what I'm
Yo, oh
expecting.
yeah, it's gonna be my first diss track. Is gonna be the
Okay,
Bourbon.
perfect.
Yeah,
Looking forward to
100%.
it.
They are actually also my first feature. They're the first
That
group
you should
featured
have
on
them
me on empty
feature on their
songs.
diss track, but don't release the lyrics until you like get to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
very end, and they're like, "Wait, I'm on a diss track
yeah,
about ourselves." That would be the most
yeah.
meta thing.
Dude, one, so they actually are my next teacher, so look for that. But like, I actually, after I got out of my band that I was in, Jake from the Burden with, the other guy who was in the band, like started releasing music, and I was like listening to the words, and I was like, swear to fucking God, these songs are about how much he hates me. I swear to God, I think I'm listening to a diss track, but he hasn't said it out loud. And I never brought it up. I just was like, I'm hearing how this could be about how I'm a terrible person to be in a creative project with. And so just like don't live your life in a way where if you hear songs about how someone is a monster, it could be you. You live your life like Brandon, where you're sure that's
Oh,
not about you.
there's probably some shit out there for me. I hope
I've seen the
not.
spreadsheet.
I've
Did
seen
you
this.
ever get the spreadsheet? Did you ever get sent the spreadsheet of canceled musicians? Did someone
No,
send you it?
no, 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 no.
Okay, so we on my podcast we got sent it. Someone was like, they were like, we're doing a community service, and like these are all the musicians that we've decided we've like canceled, and here's like the list of allegations, and it's like yeah, it's like a running spreadsheet of all the bad dudes,
I
and
get
they
DMs. Then they tell me they're like,
oh yeah.
you need to, this, this needs to go. And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would imagine at this point, dude, you're like, you must get 40 a day because you've done so many interviews and just all people are bad. But yeah, it was
I get
crazy.
some. Yeah, I get some.
Yeah,
Certainly.
yeah. Have you ever like taken one down?
Oh, I've taken down a couple. Yeah, for
Oh, good for
100%.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we felt like because our show was about people talking about them at their worst, it wasn't
Sure.
like glorifying that people being like, this guy did some shitty stuff, and then we're like, okay, we hear you, we appreciate that, thank you for the link, like we care. In this episode, he talks about his struggles with mental health and addiction, and so that's likely coloring this problem and
Sure.
shedding light on it more than it is like him being like, I'm like the coolest guy and everyone should date me. And so we like, yeah, we did like a PSA or whatever after. But yeah, that was a tough dude. That was the hardest decision you ever
Those
made.
those
Like,
are those are some of the hardest decisions. I feel like because you gotta like I'm inviting people into this process right now, but it's like you get the DM and then you're like, ooh, that's
yeah,
rough. And then you're like, can you
yeah,
provide receipts, right? Because usually for me, it's not that like I'm out here just like waving the gavel and I'm like canceled. You know what I mean? I'm not the
yeah,
be
yeah,
all end all, but I have to always like do my due diligence. So I said, if you got receipts, if you got something, then show it to me. I'm more than glad
yeah,
to take a look at it and go about it with my best foot forward. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually get the DM receipts, get a ton of messages, get this, get that, screenshots, the likes of it. Then you're like,
yeah,
yeah, I probably should. I probably should. And then I just wind up taking it down. And then usually I'll make up some sort of video and be like, hey, listen, like, I don't know I don't know how serious the allegations are, but because they are out there and because they exist. I feel like for me personally, I don't feel comfortable trying to put them as a platform, whether you found out about them yesterday or you found about them like a couple years ago. Like it's got to go. So I usually just wind up yanking it, and then if it winds up turning around, then it's fine. We're
Yep.
good. We
Yep.
re-upload it. Otherwise, it goes in the audio addiction vault, forever, and I'll
Yep.
never see the light of
Yep.
day.
Yeah, man. That's good on you. You have a process. Yeah, we luckily dealt with it once, and then we were like, all right, yeah, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. No more of this.
It
I'm
is
not doing
rough.
400 episodes.
It is rough, and I think you gotta look at it from like a sense of grace, right? Because it's just like
Yeah.
you don't want to make the situation worse for someone else, but you also don't want to highlight someone who's been doing some bad shit. So I feel like I
Hmm.
try to find that middle ground of like, okay, can I talk it over with the like party that has the allegations, or can I like whatever? And I try to like, or if that's not the possible road, then I just like am like I might as well just like throw it away and then just like imagine it just disappears, and then people want to ask me questions, then they can DM me, and we
Yeah.
can go about it that way. But I'm
Yeah.
not just gonna leave it up there for someone to be like, I can't believe you left that up there, that's terrible. And then it's just like, okay, this
Yeah.
was an
Yeah.
interview from like 3 years ago, but yes, I will take it down.
Yeah. Very
So
fair, man. Good for you.
so side tangent, but yes, for Neon Empty, I think for me, like, obviously, been following your stuff for quite a bit, have had your previous project on before, and, always have kind of, again, kept up with this, different, projects, whether it be, staying within the podcasting scene or, going beyond that and creating music. And, I'm glad that you're, still creating in some fashion. And so, when I had originally messaged you, I was just like, listen, we got to get him on. Like, there's no way. Like, I feel like I've been putting it off, and I need to have you on. So it was good to like a
Sweet.
reconnect, and b like I took a look at some of the stuff on your YouTube channel, which guys I'll link below. Mestizus, I think is how you pronunciate the name.
May tease us. One sec.
Matesis.
I gotta do this. Just one sec. We're gonna do a bit here. Jeff, I'm in an interview on a podcast right now, and you phoned me, and now you're on the podcast as a result. And I don't know how everyone's gonna react to that. But
Not
I
great.
really wanted to include you in the process.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'll call you back later, buddy. Love you. Bye.
Love you, man.
Shouts to Jeff.
Classic Jeff. He's so tall. Okay, I put on Do Not Disturb. Sorry about that.
Shouts to Jeff, my guy.
Matesis,
Matesis.
which as an American is not like a concept to be familiar with.
No.
And this is me out loud going like, maybe I should make things that are accessible to broader groups of people. But
I listen. I'm not Canadian, so that's how it be.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So Matesis is a play on Métis and Jesus, and Métis is like a French word that means half caste, and it refers to a group of people who are like half indigenous. You guys would call them Native Americans, but so indigenous is the terminology we use, so that we're like half indigenous, typically Cree, typically mixed with like a French settler. It sort of has evolved to the word Métis mean more like indigenous people mixed with some white people, like some half-breed-ish stuff coming from these specific places in Canada, sort of like I think the outside of BC or in middle of BC to the other side, but largely like Manitoba area was where they started. So Alberta through Manitoba, I think largely sort of like the territories. So it essentially means that I am part white person, part indigenous person. And so Matesis was about being like trying to figure out, like how to enter into like entirely who I am while being like super believing in it and that like weird process. So that's Matesis.
I can, funnily enough, I can find a lot of similarities to that in my life. As most people don't know or maybe do, I am adopted. So my parents are white, and I am very much not white. So I feel like for me, I can find that sense of like, what the fuck's going on here kind of like thought process where you're like, oh man, like you look this way, but you talk a certain way, and people that aren't like Korean are like a little bit like, I don't know. And white people are
Yep.
like, I don't know, you're not like one of us, you know? So I feel like you
Yeah,
fall in that
you get
gray
that.
category, you know? So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Where when I've done music about anything indigenous, like half of the comments, like I somehow find a way to make everyone mad. Like half of the comments are supportive, but then it's like the one quarter that are like white people being like racism isn't real, and then indigenous people, the ones that aren't supportive, being like you've never even been on a reservation, pussy. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Like I'm trying my best here, guys. And so Matesis was like a lot about leaning into being like, I don't have like a place. I don't have a home. I don't
yeah,
have a
yeah.
family. Like I am just sort of loose and like floating and like the world is a place to which I was generally uninvited as a vibe. And so that's been an interesting thing of like exploring that in my own life and it's kind of coming out in my music.
Yeah, and I think it highlights, I think there's a certain aspect about that highlights like I think people who are adopted can kind of feel the same way where they don't feel collectively involved with like, either who they are as a nationality or who they are as a person. There is that sort of like disconnect, and I've even spoken about it on like other people's podcasts and stuff where I've felt the disconnect for a very long time, and every once in a while I'll get those moments where I'm like, I don't feel like I belong really anywhere, and
Yeah.
I think that that's an important thing to talk about, much similarly to like the again, not to do a 180, but like similarly to when you were doing the podcasting stuff, like I felt like there was stuff with like your personal and like mental health that people don't really talk
Hmm.
about because it's something, it's just like, it's like taboo. It's like, oh, we don't talk about those things because we don't, we just excuse me, like we push that stuff
Yeah.
off to the side and we just like let it go, and people are just
Yeah.
like you said, you have people that fight in the comments. They're like, hey, I'm an indigenous, like I like love our people, and then white people are like, I love my people too, and like racism isn't real, and then meanwhile they're like complaining about some fucking immigrant that like, cuts their lawn or some shit, like it's a
Yeah.
terrible thing, but like that's the
It's a
reality you
lot.
live in. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it is. It
and I
is, right? And
appreciate it.
like, yeah, no, and I appreciate that you understand because it wasn't until you said that I thought, okay, that actually is a group of people who would understand that feeling of like, yes, you
Hmm.
technically belong to some things, but like you're not integrated in them.
Oh
You're not
yeah,
a
oh yeah.
part of it. So no, that's been a really funny thing to work through. And then ironically, the next song is called Trailer Trash, and it's like about that part of my upbringing, which was just like being white trash, trailer trash, hick, and sort of like the implications of that. So it's been a journey, writing a lot about where I come from.
Yeah, and I think it's important, despite what hardships you might find within the comment section, it's not a very easy place, and I'm sure you just don't make music to just see like how much hysteria you can cause in the comment section, but
No.
Matizas, like I thought it was really good, and not like obviously not joking about like how much I enjoyed it because I had checked out some of your previous stuff and I was like, okay, this is good, and then I checked out Matizas and I was like, ooh, okay, we're on to something.
Yeah,
There's
and
something
and
about
it
it.
did feel like a step ahead. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because I actually got quite a few messages from people being like, "This is a step ahead. Like this was like the first big step forward." I even had some my brother called me to be like, "All right, like I've bought a T-shirt here and there, but like I've heard Matesis and like this is the real deal. So like, what's the next step? Like, what do you
Yeah,
need
yeah.
from me?" And I was like, "Well, I mean." If you want to buy ads, that's fine. But it doesn't. But to your point, it's really funny because it's such a forest for the trees thing. Like I'm a marketer in real life, and I spend
I
all of
feel.
my time marketing, and then I suck at marketing my own music, and I suck at thinking about it practically. And so I keep writing songs, and I'm like, this is universal. And then you're like, what's a metis? And I'm like, oh, fucking right. Like nobody fucking knows what I'm talking about. This is a random set of words, and I could
Yeah.
have not thought about that for 10, like, you know what I mean? So, I've been trying to to think about that a little bit more and at least be like, okay, I'm good if this is not commercially viable or understood because of now that like why did that come to me sitting in the bathtub with you being like, what's a metastasis? Why did I not think about that at any time? I mean, was I more local, but yeah, it is weird, right? Like I write about weird stuff, and I'm like trying to bring it a little more center and a little more
Yeah.
open, but it's real tough for me.
No, and I think there's, for me, like I always love the people that are like the outliers, right? The people that are doing some like shit that you wouldn't expect. And I think that for me was really cool because, you know, I've known you for a bit from being like doing the podcast stuff and, having a completely different outlook on doing that versus doing this project. And I feel like there's so much, like, not that I felt like you were bound up, but I feel like there's so much more creative liberties that's are going on with this type of
Oh,
music and
100%.
like project. And I think that that's really cool because I think sometimes people, like you said, you're a marketer, like I went to school for marketing and, now I do something completely different. But, I think for myself, it's like, you got to find those outlets and things that you're passionate about. Like people, when they come up to me and they ask me, like, what do you do for fun? This is the shit that I do for fun, right? Most people would just be like, so you're just doing another like business thing essentially. And I'm like, I mean, kind of, but like I actually enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's not like I
Yeah,
make
yeah, yeah.
fucking, I'm not like a Bill Gates and I'm making $1
I
million.
get my $55 a month check. It's no big deal. I'm a bit of a mogul,
Yeah, I can go
Yeah.
buy, like a cravings box from Taco Bell right now, So,
Like, so, like,
I'm living life,
not to flex on them.
Yeah,
Maybe you
that's
should
it,
be rapping about this.
I could
Get on a
buy.
fucking track rapping about your cravings
Yeah,
box from Taco
yeah,
Bell.
hell yeah, so like I feel like for me it's I can come to the realization with what you do that you truly, when it's all boiled down to it, regardless of if I can spell out your song name or not, that are really dedicated to doing this. Like there's so much passion and heart into doing it, and regardless, I think if people care about it in that aspect or not, I still think that you should still do it regardless. Like, and I imagine that's, I'm speaking to the choir a little bit, but I think,
Well, no, you're not, because like I've been ready to quit, man. I've been really ready to quit. But I mean that's the nature of my relationship with
sure.
music, right? It's
Yeah,
like uh, I have phases where like my mental health isn't flawless, and it tends to
sure.
be that one of the
Yeah,
toxic things that creeps in is really tying my self worth and my excitement to music, and it can creep up on you. That's the thing, is you can kind of wake up and be like, no, I feel okay about myself, but you don't realize that little bit of that it's almost the same with businesses, and I run a business, right? And so it's like, when you speak with founders, like you have to be a little bit crazy to
yeah.
believe in
Oh yeah.
yourself, and
Oh,
to be a
100%.
musician, and to not be like, this next one might be it. Like I've got a lot of faith in this one. Like I guess in a way, if you're not thinking that, like I don't know why you would do this. Like why you would just make stuff that you don't hope will be heard by people and do something
Sure. Yeah.
tangible to the world. And I know that's crazy, but that's a crazy I'm always going to live with. But when it goes past there and into, I'm feeling like that, and I'm also having like a couple bad weeks, it's pretty easy to be like, all right, like I'll release this thing, and then like girls are gonna call me, and I'll have all my stuff fixed, which is the dumbest thing to think about. And so yeah, generally I always go through a bit of a cycle, and admittedly this one was way less bad than before. Like I was just
Sure.
like bummed for a few days when numbers came back, and then I do have to do this like recomposition journey of like, I'm quitting music forever. And then I'm like, well, no, 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 that's a dumb idea. And then I like think about all that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And even in Neon Empty, like I don't have the streaming numbers that other people do, which for, a couple of days bummed me out. But then I'm able to look back on my year and like my stage time and growth and just be like, fucking cool. Like I really don't have that much to prove, having a good time. But I appreciate that you see my passion coming through, because it has been a passion draining couple of weeks. So I'm
Oh,
I'm
sure.
glad
Yeah.
that some is still coming through. But yeah, I'm back on the writing train. I'm just having fun writing, because, like I said, as soon as I just go back to the creativity, like why do I do this? Like I do this because I love writing music
Yeah.
and being on stage. And as soon as I go back to that, I'm like, this is fun again. But then I'll inevitably have a release cycle to deal with, and ads to buy and stuff, and be like, today's the day I get famous.
I
It's
feel
not
like it's
coming.
but I also feel like that's the cycle of being a musician. You know, I've been doing this.
Well, I hope so. I hope it's not just me, right? Like, I hope other people know what the
Yeah,
fuck I'm talking about, and I'm not just some asshole in his bathtub with like the biggest ego in the world, hoping that people listen to his music. You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
hope that's not batshit crazy.
No, it's not, you know, and I think despite the fact that, you know, we're having the e-girl moment here, online, respect,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
to be, 100% frank, it's like, sometimes I feel like I look at my numbers compared to other people, and I've been doing this shit for almost 7 years, so
Hmm.
I feel like you're always going to have that mentality of like, man, if I was only this person, man,
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
numbers would be like this or like whatever. And I think like over the
Mine
pan
is just so you know, mine is hot girl meander pop. Is
okay,
the
cool.
boogeyman that lives in my head? It's any hot girl who sings like meandering like Lana Del Rey music. That is the actual boogeyman that I have to wake up and banish from my head every
Fair
day. Every
enough.
time I have this, right? I'm just like, if I was like 5'9" and a skinny pretty girl, and I just sang like songs that didn't have actual hooks for a long time, and it just was like all over, I'd get festivals. But I think that that's just like that's me needing a boogeyman to fight against, right? Like
Sure, yeah.
that's me needing there to be an enemy so that it's not just my fault or it's not just life. So I've been trying to
Yeah.
just be like, sometimes it's just life. But I would be so famous if I was a hot girl doing Neanderthal, just so
I
everybody
mean, you're a
knows
hot
I'm saying
girl.
that.
You're a hot
Full
girl right
stop.
now, Give me hot girl vibes
This is
here.
I was gonna make a sound. I was like, "What?" I didn't know what sound hot girls make. I think I was gonna whistle, but like then, but if I was a hot girl, I wouldn't whistle. I'd be like, "A
I,
chihuahua." Nope, I don't think that.
nope, that was not it.
What do hot girls? What sound do they make?
I don't.
Probably just
Guys,
normal
let us know in
sounds.
the comments. What do hot
Let us
girls?
know in the comments. Hot
Throw it in the
girls. I know that
comments.
Audio Addiction has a huge hot girl following. So if you
Yeah.
guys can just
Drop them
message
down below.
us with what you guys say as your catchphrase.
Oh my god. But no, I feel like, over the like, getting back to serious shit. But no, I feel like for me, over the pandemic, I learned that like I shouldn't be so focused on the numbers, right? Cuz like it's so easily, you see people like pass away or you see people like, get really sick or whatever, right? And then you think about like, you have I don't want to say like an existential crisis, but you have that moment where you're like these things
Oh yeah,
are
no,
small. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
my channel is the smallest fucking morsel on the face of the earth, right? And like I have to
You get
realize,
some cool fucking bands on there.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's a
Thank you.
cool thing, right? Like I'll sometimes look and I'll be like, yeah, like cool, like pop punk band that Brandon likes, whatever. And then just like round it, like, okay, get after it, King. And I think that's the thing, right? I think for guys like us who we do what we do because we love it, even when we're frustrated. I think that life is just like that grind, that like unforgiving grind in between those moments of like some band you're so extra stoked about,
Oh yeah.
and like the couple episodes that pop off, and like me getting like a good show every 3 to 6 months. Like I
Oh
play
no,
some
this is
shows, and
great.
I'm actually very lucky, right? Like I love like the Calgary music scene has been quite good to me, especially because there's no rap scene
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I'm over
yeah.
there,
I
right?
imagine.
So but yeah, no, and I think that's it, right? Like just like you said, like I don't want to be at the end of my life and be like, remember when I stopped writing music because I was proving a point that I should be more appreciated? Like what an idiotic! Like I know in advance how dumb that would
I'll
feel,
make sure to
right?
text you now and again, just be
Oh,
like, yo, man,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
come on, you got it. I feel like everybody needs that. I do try, not to like toot my own horn, but I do message people and be like, "Yo, man, you're fucking killing it. Keep doing it." I think it's
yep,
just like those little things, right? You don't have to do
yep,
it, but you just do it because like, hey, I don't know what type of day you're going through, but hey, maybe if that little text message says like, "Yo, thinking about you." Killing it, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that is
yeah,
a great thing, and I feel like
yeah,
not enough people do it. So if I could give everyone one challenge to do is just if you see a band that you really like and you feel like, man, in my head, I think they're struggling a little bit, just shoot them a DM like on Instagram and just be like, yo, you're great, keep doing it. And I think
yeah,
that like that goes a long way, I'm all about positivity here, and I feel like, a lot of the times, like, you could very easily say, "You fucking suck, I hate this song, this is the worst song you've released in 13 years, suck my dick,"
Oh,
like,
I send
whatever.
Lana Del Rey that message every day.
Okay,
Every
great,
day. Even on days she doesn't release songs, I just go, Lana!
So, I
Lana! Because
feel
you can't bring Lana Del Rey down, I don't think. I think she's fine.
she'll be wiping her tears away with, like, her $100 bills, so. But, yeah, I feel like for me, it's just, like, having you on specifically was just like, man, I haven't talked to him in forever. He's, doing Neon Empty. Let's do it. Let's try
Yeah,
to get
man.
my man out there, and I
And
think
I just love out loud philosophizing about art and life and creating. So fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, and without the responsibility of having to edit something and worry about deadlines, like thus adding to my burden in my existence.
welcome
Great.
to my
Let's go.
life. Welcome to my life,
Yeah.
but anyway, we can go on this topic forever, but Bryce, I have to ask too, you mentioned at the top of this interview that, you were originally from, like, the, metalcore, like, post-hardcore scene. How did you
Yeah.
get into rap music? Because I feel like that is kind of a, interesting journey, because not, I would imagine people's first initial thoughts after, being in a metalcore or post-hardcore band being like, you know what, I'm feeling rap music. That's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
the next
yeah.
lane for me. And that's, I mean, if people do that, no diss to you at all, that's
No, no,
awesome.
no, no,
But,
not at
like,
all.
how
Dude,
did you
I
land?
get it
How
when I
did you
say it
land
in
on that?
person. Yeah, like when I tell people in person that I'm a rapper, they go, "Oh," like, and because like me in real life too is all like, I'm the most Canadian person. Like, oh, sorry, Scoochie, excuse me. Like, I'm so afraid of like stepping on people's toes. Like, this is my cool alter ego right now, and it's not even fucking cool, right?
Respect.
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I have a vape pen because I didn't want to smoke weed in my bathroom because I didn't want to upset my building maintenance company. Like, that's how hard I am. But anyhow, like, I think that honestly, it's just like, um, this is a really this shouldn't be a dumb answer, but it sounds like a dumb answer at the outset. But hear me through.
Sure.
Was like Eminem. So I was 13, 12, 13 when Eminem came out, and like I am a lyrics person, and
Sure. Yeah.
Eminem was like in real time telling the story of my life at the time. Like I was living in a trailer park, like abusive stepdads, like the people around me were addicted to things. Like I felt fucked up, and it was like super weird because I felt super seen. And I guess I listened to like a little bit more rap growing up, but like honestly, man, like I find so little rap that I enjoy. It sucks. Like there's like a couple Vancouver artists like Mercules, Evil Ebenezer, like a couple people in that crew.
Hmm.
Like I like a little bit of like British stuff. I like Wiley, like and there's like the classics, right? But like I don't ever listen to rap and be like, yeah, I really dig this. Like, add it to my list. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just a bad rap fan or something. But for me, it was just like I'm a rapper because it was a means to an end. Like, no
Sure.
disrespect to like where this art form that I'm like stealing came from, but like I don't have anything in common with like the Diddies and the Nasses of the world. Like,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
know where rap came from, and it's not where I'm from, right? And so and now a couple of generations, removed, I find even less in common with rappers these days than ever before. I turn on rap and I'm like, I don't fucking understand why you put this out. I really don't. And like, I feel old and crazy. And like, again, no disrespect, but I do not understand what the fuck rap is anymore. All I know is that when Eminem did poetry fast over a beat, that
Hmm.
beat could be as hard as he wanted. And his voice could still be heard and it could get people fired up. And that's
Sure.
it. Like, that's all I care about. I'm trying to get the crowd fired up. I'm trying to use words to fix my own brain. And there's just a little bit of rap that I love so much. It followed me through my whole life. And I was like,
Hmm.
I'll be inspired by that stuff and see what I can do in the same vein.
Yeah, no, and I feel like, I've seen some clips of you, playing live on your Instagram as well as, other social medias as well. And I think for me, it's like you remind me a lot of that. energy of, seeing like a metalcore band or like a post-hardcore
Yeah.
band, and I think
It
that
absolutely, like, I'm a hardcore kid, right? Like,
yeah,
that's exactly it. Like, it's the energy that I would bring to watching, like, a Norma Jean show 10 years ago. Like, that's the
yeah.
energy I'm bringing to being on stage. Like, I just love it. So, yeah,
You put it
that's
all
what I
out
wow.
there, and
Yeah,
I think
probably
that for
shouldn't.
me, like, listening to some of your music and not really kind of like, just seeing your stuff live and then not actually delving into your music catalog, I think for me it was cool to see that experience. And then I would definitely suggest for people to go watch clips on your Instagram and then go check out your YouTube channel because I feel like you get a better appreciation. Because, like, music videos, they're like dolled up a little bit, and
Yeah,
obviously it's the visual aspect of things, certainly. The music is definitely there, but if you really want to get like the rawest form of it, I would definitely go check, Neon Empty's Instagram, which I'll leave down below. And I think that that gives you a very good idea to start out, and then once you get into actual music, then you're like, okay, I get it.
yeah,
It's all clicking, and I think I was sitting here checking out your Instagram and then went straight to the YouTube channel, and I was like, I wish I had my camera on to like record that moment, but like honestly, I was just like, okay, it all makes sense now. Like me watching those
yeah,
clips, like, and
yeah.
then watching you, perform the song, in a music video format, I was like, okay, I get it now. Like there was something
Yeah,
about it that just like triggered everything, and I was like, okay, that's really cool. And obviously, as I mentioned before, like keep doing what you're doing because like there's got to be there's certainly there's certainly power in just putting stuff out there. There's going to be an audience that you're going to find, and there's going to be a spot for people that are going to feel like, man, I feel exactly the way that Neon Empty feels, or whatever.
yeah.
And I think that there's my whole job as an interviewer is just to like hopefully find that audience that's gonna resonate and be like, this guy's sick, I like him, I'm gonna go check him out. And then hopefully
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of
Good point.
builds the following. And I think it's just like everybody, to touch on a point we talked about previously, it's just like Rome's not built in a day, right? Like I think the people that you think, the people that you look up to, right, in terms of artists, like they were all a local band at some point, like playing a shitty bar that and no one gave a fuck about them, right? And now they're
Yeah.
playing like
It's so
sold out
bananas to
stadiums.
think about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it's also weird. Like you watch someone like, and I have to remind myself of this, and this is the story that I'm relaying to the world, which is,
Yay.
I think, just how it feels because you're just like, I know how much I'm working. When will everybody else see, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
just like think about how many people like Spirit Box won like best new band or whatever, and the rest of us that were like waiting around 6 years ago listening to the Mara effect
Hey,
were like,
yeah, you're right.
what are you
Me too.
what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like the people who were like playing shows with fucking like I wrestled a bear once and the
Yeah.
people who were playing shows with Unicron, like my old band, fuck dude, like I was 23. I'm 34 now. 11 years ago, we were playing shows with Courtney's other band, and it took that long for like for people to know this person who like popped out of nowhere one day. Like, no, the Victoria Rec Center when I got heat stroke is where that popped out of. And it's so crazy because like I think we all forget it, right? Because we're just like, it is so long in the trenches. But
Yeah.
it's a really cool thing to think about, right? And to your point, like I think that's like something that gets me so excited because I still see a lot of live music. I really like I don't go to big shows. Like if one of my faves came to town, maybe, but like I much prefer when I go like play a weird local show because just like once in a while,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
some band, you're like, okay, no, like I'm waiting for you to pop off. Like it's coming, and this is gonna be like a fun ride to watch. And like I get excited about that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's a blast.
I think for me too, like, you have people on that you've interviewed, like, like I had mentioned previously, like I've been doing this for 7 years. Like, it's cool to see the people that I initially started out with and then to see where they're at now. And,
Yeah,
obviously it makes me feel old as shit. But then at the same time, it's like, uh, you know, while I had like a small role in what they do, right? It's like such a cool thing to see. Like their progress as an artist and, how much they've evolved over time. And I think it just makes me feel like, again, I don't have a large influence on it, but like I think that like even the smallest of portions, right? Like you're just like,
Yeah,
this is
and it's
such a
cool
cool
to have
feeling.
been there at the genesis. Like you're like
Yeah.
a historian in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it's a very very neat thing, and it's even super funny. Like the Burden just got signed. Like they're still an
Yeah.
indie band among indie bands by all accounts, but are like the biggest band to come out of where we're from, and like in a sense, like I think our whole scene probably you could reasonably say. And so like I met Jake when he was like 17 playing acoustic at a bar, and he couldn't walk around the bar to sit with us. He had to walk to either the back door or the bathroom because he was underage. Like, and then now they're like signed to a record label, right? And it's like those are so cool. So anyhow, that's my pitch to everybody for why you just go see live music and like find a couple bands to like, because then when they take off, you get to like watch it, and it's so fun.
Yeah, and I think it's also cool too because then you get to know these people, right? Like I always mention and stress that there's people who make this music. It's not like we could talk about as you mentioned Spirit Box. Like we could say that Courtney LaPlante, like we put her on this pedestal as being like a fantastic female artist, and not to discount her at all. She's very much one of the greatest. But at the same point, she's very much a human, and I think that like we
Mm-hmm.
kind of take away that aspect of like, oh my god, like I met Courtney, this is great, this is amazing, and I think it's just like, okay, that's cool. I feel like with Courtney, like, I have their first EP on vinyl, and I know like that was like incredibly like arguably one of the coolest metalcore records to have come out probably within like
Oh
the
my
past
god!
decade,
Right?
and to see them like very similarly, like I've been a big fan of just that Canadian scene in general, Vancouver. Like Canada's got
Yeah,
some great bands, so
crazy.
for me it's like cool to see that, and very similarly to the Burden as well. Like I've had them on a couple different times, and it's cool to see they got signed. Like that's something that I
Yeah.
have been saying for years, and for it to like finally come to fruition, I think is always really cool. And I think it's like another checkbox off my list that's like, like that they're good, and now you shared it with other people, and you never know who watches these videos, and and then somebody reaches out and is just like, listen, I found your interview on this YouTube channel, and I thought you seem like a good fit for our label, or like then we went to go check out your music and we were like, this is good, we'd love to sign you, like that would be the greatest success story for me. I don't know if that's actually
Yeah.
what happened, but like I would,
You
you
hear
know,
that, Jesus Christ, God?
G-
That was a prayer. That was a live on air prayer
amen,
to
amen,
Jesus
brother.
Christ, God.
You're gonna get
We're
it.
gonna we're gonna manifest it.
Listen, we are manifest central here, so let's
Oh,
let's
you put the man manifest, my dude.
we do well, you do,
I
but
tell you, this bathwater is getting cold. There's not a lot of man going on here right now.
but I'll move it into the next thing, because listen, we don't want cold bath water. That's just not, this is not
Yep.
not what we're doing here. But what do you want people to kind of take away from Neon Empty as as an artist? Because I feel like sometimes we talk about the people that I have on, we talk about a bunch of different things, but like what makes you do what you do? Like I think there's like as I mentioned before, like there's always a person behind whoever makes the
Mm.
music, right? Why do you
Yeah, it's a
create
very good
music?
question.
You know?
Oh man, why don't I give you the actual answer? And maybe one day the answer will be better. Because I think I'm supposed to say it's for all the kids out there who something, something, something. Let me tell you something. The kids, they're not listening to me anyways. They got their video games. They got their Nintendo game switches. They got their Pokemons, They got their Gen Z haircuts. They got their ticks. I know I have so many Pokemon tattoos on this leg. But if I have to be honest about the answer to that question, what I hope people are getting out of Neon Empty is like seeing my growth as a human being. And I don't think that's a very good place for that to happen. I've lived a lot of life, and a lot of it has been lived very badly as I was like unstable and mentally ill and,
Sure, yeah.
near homeless. Like it's been a dark road, and it's only in the last few years been like even safe to be my existence. So, I think that in a way, like I want people to see what I was always capable of, but they never said I was, because I feel like I'm getting close to being the best version of a creator and musician that I could sort of reasonably be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what I'm being is a good fit for me. So, I mean, one, I think that what I'm hoping people take away is my haters being like, I was a little wrong. Let's just say that out loud. But
Respect.
more than that, I do hope that, like, I've been doing this thing where, like, I've been writing like pop songs. I'll send it to you after. It's like so fully. I was like, I'm just gonna write the poppiest song I can and see what happens. And I just, like, I don't know. I hope that hearing somebody making like slightly weirder stuff that doesn't always make sense or always land makes somebody go like, all right, like, why don't I take a risk? Like, if nothing else, maybe people should just keep see me trying and fucking up and realize that you can't hurt yourself failing. Note to self, right? Like, that's it. Like, maybe people are just going to be like, if this dummy can keep bashing his fucking head against the wall, I can go make art too. And that's what I'm hoping people get out of this at this point. And then that they listen to Hamilton. That's my last role on earth, is to make people listen to Hamilton and create themselves. I am the prophet, a very minor prophet in the Old Testament, with a Z in his name. Nobody knows it. Dude, I didn't put these candles in candle holders, and they're just like in the bath now.
We'll just have melted wax in your cold water,
Yeah,
you know?
I had fucking haul this out by hand.
Oh,
This is
man.
gonna break my drain, and I'm a good tenant.
Amen, brother. I get it. No, I feel like, I feel like what you said is like so on point, right? They like, for me, watching you do what you do, like, you know, creating what you create. I think it's just like we should create because we want to create, right? I don't think there should be any limitation on what you do. Obviously, like, if you're a country artist and you start doing death metal, I would have some questions, but hey, whatever.
The first question would be, can I join your band?
Can I join your band? Yeah. Hey, listen, whatever, do what you want. But I think that the necessity of music is to feel connected, and I feel like with your stuff, despite how maybe abrasive it can be to certain people, I think there is, I think the ultimate connector is that you make music. I've talked about it multiple times where music is this ultimate connector, where it's like you may not speak the same language, but there's something about it that just connects you with someone else. And I think that that's what's brought me a lot of the people here, within the channel, is just like knowing that, even if we aren't from the same country, same state, same town, whatever, that we all love music and we all find this, strength within it, or at least for the very part of, like, knowing someone else has existed and has felt the same pain or felt the same happiness or felt the same whatever. I think there's something about it that will unite you to somebody else. And I think for, listening to Neon Empty, I feel more connected to you as an artist. And I think that, I hope that's what people take away from it as well, is that there's this aspect of connecting. And if you maybe don't get it, like, now it allows you to do that time to do the research, or like to be like, oh, well, Neon Empty said this thing on the pod. Like, I didn't know about that. Let me go check it out, or let
Anything
me
I say, you should be checking out. Anything I say
100%.
ever, anything mentioned should be Googled immediately.
Immediately.
In a new tab. If you're doing an href tag, all right, the modifier we need to open in a new tab is, oh, I forget it. I'm not a coder for a living, guys. I'm just trying to. No.
He's trying to live code now.
Oh, dude, it's like the third most basic HTML thing, and it's like on the tip of my tongue. And like, I'm not a coder. I don't care, but I'm like mad that I forgot it. I'm really upset with myself now. Nobody DM me the answer.
Wrong answers only in the comments.
What's the modifier to the tag? What's the property? Holy shit, dude! I'm having a crisis right now.
My God.
I write this so frequently. And equals and no target. Target equals blank. Oh my God, thank you. Target equals underscore blank, I think. Okay, well, good night, folks. This has been Audio Addiction with me, Brandon, and the Korean man you see with us called Neon Empty. Hope you like that.
Oh my God! Well, listen. I don't want. I don't want our guest Neon Empty to freeze in the cold bathwater of Canada over
Real
there.
cool.
So I will round it out and say, where can you find Neon Empty at on social media? What you have coming up next in the next couple months, and anything else you would
Yeah.
like to plug?
Yeah, I'd like to unplug this bathwater.
Oh, there you
First
go.
of all, I'm going to do
Respect.
an unplug to start my plugs. Dad joke. So a Neon Empty, I got that across everything. So like I'm at Neon Empty on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, like whatever. You can look there. I use Instagram the most. I actually had to take myself off social media entirely, like as a human being.
Respect.
So I only have Neon Empty and no personal stuff. So I have to even minimize that so it doesn't all like creep back into my life again. So I basically only use Instagram.
Respect.
If you want to connect with me on there. And then I don't know, man, for the next little bit, I'm just gonna release out some singles. I'm gonna go play some shows at Rockin' for Dollars, which is shout out to Rockin' for Dollars, the greatest YYC tradition. I'll play a couple shows there with my friends as I try out new songs and stuff. And then we'll see what the new year holds. If I can get some traction, I'll try to get on some. I'd love to just play little weird festivals. So I'll work on that for the next couple of years.
There we go. Well, listen.
Yeah.
PA's looking for you. You know, I'm looking for you, Brett.
I'm here, Stanton.
I'm looking. So, guys, listen. Go check out Neon Empty. If you enjoyed this interview, listen, you're gonna love the music. It's great, you know. So I will leave links in the description where you can go find out about Neon Empty, you know, what he has coming up next. Be available for the latest drop on new music and all that goodness.
With the burden.
With the burden. At some point.
December, probably.
You know, Milo Quinn, that would be kind of sick, you know, so my boy.
Milo's too busy having perfect bone structure.
Oh, you're right, but listen, Milo, look, do something with Neon Empty, I'm just saying. That'd be kind of
I do think I accidentally text him like a semi-nude, like every once in a while almost, because I'm usually texting him being like, how do you make art without crying? How do you lift weights? How do you invest? Like, oh my God, I'm so sick of Quinn being so perfect. But anyhow, and then once in a while, I'm sure I accidentally like almost do that from the bath, like I do now, and be like, Quinn, like what's a card structure? So yeah,
fair. Yeah, that's where all the best memories come at. You know, in the shower, bathtub, or the shitter. One of those three. Those are the best options.
Those are where your best memories come from.
Yeah,
I have a lot of suggestions for your life if that's true. And there's Disneyland, there's concerts.
You're right.
A&W.
Listen,
all better places to make
speaking
memories.
about concerts, listen, you can go see Neon Empty if you live in the BC area. Go see what's up.
I live in Alberta now.
Oh, he lives in Alberta. All right, so Alberta.
I said that off the top. It's fine.
It's okay.
I said Calgary. People knew.
Calgary. Yeah. I'm American, so I don't know that shit. So you know.
Yeah, man, that's fine. I mean, I understand. we know what it's like down there. We've seen the news once.
Yeah. It's not great. So anyway, speaking about stuff that's great, Neon Empty. Go check the links below. Please go give him some love. If you like this interview, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to share it. It'd be awesome. That would be great. Also, it'll be on audio format on all the streaming platforms. So, you know, keep your eyes peeled for that if you just don't want to see us. But listen, honestly, this is the most, you know, this is honestly the most interesting interview I think I've ever done. So, you know, bathtub hours.
The burden, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I win, you lose.
I mean, this is arguably in the 7 years that I've done this. This is the first bathtub interview I've done. So, you know, kudos.
I think I just cucked the burden out of a record deal, my friend.
You might have.
I think that their label saw that and was like, shit, what are we going to do?
We signed the wrong person.
Band? We're going to keep this cucked band on the label? They got cucked from the bathtub by Neon Empty, the rapper. They're off.
Yeah, they're out.
Take that, Jake. Good luck affording your house on your really good job you have salary.
All right, guys. Well, this is where the beef starts, and I don't want to have any part of it. So this is all Neon's doing.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. I gotta go to this bathtub.
Bye, guys. Go check out Neon Empty. He's awesome. Love ya. Talk to you soon.